Hi, my name is Slavik. This is English language for Ukrainian language speakers. It's designed basically for people from Ukraine, but I'm sure that anybody who's going to watch this video will take something important from this video lesson. In this short video lesson, we're going to talk about the differences between two very important and very common tenses in English language. Past simple and present perfect. Yes, there is a difference. Actually, generally speaking, both of the tenses, they refer to an action that took place somewhere in the past or started taking places somewhere in the past. But what happened after that, after the start, makes a lot of difference here. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to discuss a couple of differences which I'm sure will help you to take and pass tests well. If we're talking about the differences, if the tests where the difference between the two tenses is examined. Well, first of all, we're going to start with the formation of the two tenses. Present perfect and past simple. Now, present perfect, if it's present perfect, then there has to be something of the present, logically speaking. So what is of the present there? The verbs have or has, in grammar, they're called auxiliary verbs or assisting verbs, verbs that assist in the formation of the tense. So it's have or has, and we know that have is used for I, you, we, they, and has is used for he, she, it, and the relevant subject. Now, V3 means the verb in the third form. We know that in English language there are regular and irregular verbs, right? The irregular verbs are those that one has got to memorize, and there's nothing to do about it. One has just got to memorize that. Now, ED, that's just a simplified version of the past simple tense, or the which is found over here, or the past participle for which is the third form of the verb for regular verbs. Here we see break, broke, broken. Broken is the third verb form, broken, or worked. It's a regular verb. Break is an irregular verb, work is a regular verb. Now, work, worked, worked. So the past simple and the past participle, as we see here, they're the same in the case of regular verbs. Now, the past simple, we've got here the second verb form, or the past simple form, which in the case of break is broke, not broken, but broke. And in the case of a regular verb, it's the same, worked. So difference number one, in the formation, we see that here there is have or has. Okay? Now here there's no have or has, but just the second or second verb form, or you add ed or just d in the cases when, for example, the verb has already e at the end, like change, changed, or of course you have to produce the transformation in several verbs like study when y is transformed into I-E-D. Okay, now difference number one, the first and the foremost difference is in the philosophy of these two tenses. The first tense, present perfect, means that an action started or took place somewhere in the past, but the situation is still relevant to this present moment. The situation, graphically I put it like situation is on, like there's an on button there. When you use it, when you use the verb on in the present perfect form, it's like you press the on button. Means, for example, somebody's asking you, hey, come on, let's go play some soccer. And you say, I'm sorry, I can't. I have broken my leg. Now, I have broken my leg. When you use this tense, present perfect, you mean that this situation is still on. It's ongoing. It's still relevant to the moment. You broke your leg somewhere in the past, let's say a couple of days ago or 2 weeks ago, it doesn't matter. But your leg is still broken, or, I mean, it's not still broken, but it's being under some recovery, right? It's still in the cast. You can't play. So you can't play because of something that took place in the past, but is still relevant to this moment. I have broken my leg. Now, the situation is on. Now, let's make the situation off. Let's picture ourselves this button, which we're going to call the situation is off. Now, when do you say, I broke my leg? When you're telling a story. When your leg is no longer in the cast, you know, when everything's been said and done, you know, now several weeks have passed and now you're saying, wow, you called me. Remember you called me, you wanted me to come play soccer to me? Yeah, and I couldn't, I broke my leg. I broke my leg. Everything's fine with my legs now. Everything's cool. Now, because the situation is off. It's no longer relevant. Okay? My leg is no longer broken or is no longer in the process of recovery. Now, it's a finished story, game over. That's why you use this past simple tense, because everything in the past simple belongs to the past, no relation to the present. Now, that's the main, I could say, the philosophical difference, the two different worldviews of present perfect and past simple. Now, let's talk about the differences more specifically. First of all, difference number one, if we use an abstract time, we use present perfect. What's abstract time? Nothing specific. Already. Basically, you know, such words as already, just, recently, not yet, you know, classically speaking, they have to be used with present perfect. Of course, in American English, it's less that common. You know, in American English, you could say we already did. But in classic English, especially in British English, it's more popular to say we have already done it. Or with the, if you use a contracted form, we've already done it. Okay? So in abstract time, it's nothing specific. It's already. There's no question. There's no answer to the question, when exactly. Already, it's some unspecified time in the past, and we don't know. Already. Just, what's just? No specific answer. It's just abstract. Some abstract time. Not yet. Okay? Recently. Okay? Recently, we don't give any specific date or time here. Now, in contrast to this abstract time, there is a specific time that we use with past simple. So, if present perfect says, I have already done it, or I've already done it, past simple says, I did it 2 minutes ago, a second ago, a moment ago. I did it. Okay? Or, I did it on Monday. There's a specific time indication. I did it in April, in 1991, or whatever. Okay? Or, let's say when I was young. You specify the moment when the action was taken. Okay? So, once you specify the moment when the action was taken, you've got to use past simple, not present perfect. Alright? Present perfect is not used with specific time indications. So, difference number one, abstract time and specific time. Already, just, recently, not yet. Here, we have on Monday and Tuesday, yesterday at 2 p.m., in April, in winter, in 2006, and stuff like that. Now, number two, finished and unfinished period. Unfinished period is used with present perfect, finished period with past simple. What is a finished period? Last week, yesterday, right? Last month, last year, last summer, last April. Now, let's make it an unfinished period. Very simple. Let's put this instead of last. Now, this week, this year, this month, for example. I saw him twice last week, but I have seen him twice this week. Okay? Our company has grown a lot this year, but our company grew a lot last year. So, finished and unfinished period. Now, let's talk about number of times, difference number three. number of times or ever, never. Number of times, ever, never. Actually, you can use both of these time markers with past simple and present perfect. But in which cases? For example, you're talking about, let's talk about my grandfather. He's already dead. Now, you could ask me a question. Did you ever see your grandfather? And it will be a totally correct question because I'm not able to see my grandfather anymore. He's dead. Okay. Now, did you ever see your grandfather? Now, in the case of a living grandfather, let's say he was living in France, you can say, "Have you ever seen your grandfather?" Or who lives in France? Okay, he's there in France, but you're interested in whether we have ever seen each other, okay? We still have a chance to see each other, right? So that's why it's present perfect. Why? Because my grandfather's not dead. But it's not, past simple is not just about dead people, you know, don't get me wrong. It's about not having the chance to do it again. So I put it like repeatable action with present perfect and unrepeatable action with past simple. For example, you don't have to be dead to be, to be talked about in past simple. Let's say a person is retired, okay? And if this person is retired, he's no longer working, okay? And you can say that he worked at a number of very huge companies. He worked. Why? When do we say that? When the person is retired, okay? When the person is retired. Now, if this person is still working, he's an active employee, you know, at some companies, he has worked at a number of huge companies because he still has got this chance to work at another huge company, all right? So it can be repeated. Now, let's say I never saw my great-grandfather, okay? I don't have a chance to do it anymore, all right? But I've never been to, let's say, I've never been to Australia, all right? So but I still have the chance to go to Australia, okay? Now, number of times, never ever, yeah. By saying number of times, I mean once, twice, or several times, okay? Now, for and since with past simple and present perfect, okay? They can be used, these words can be used with past simple and present perfect as well, but there's a difference. Let's say you started working at some company in 2000 and finished working at that company in 2004, all right? Now you worked at that company for 4 years. Worked. Past simple. Why? Because the action started in the past and finished in the past. Worked. I worked for such and such company for 4 years. Now, if you started working at that company and you're still working there, so it's not going to be past simple. In this case, in contrast to past simple, present perfect can be used. I've worked at that company. I have worked. Or present perfect continuous. I've been working at this company. Now we're talking about these two tenses, past simple and present perfect. Now, if the action started in the past and is still going on, it's present perfect. All right. I have worked at this company for 2 years. All right. Now, if it's past simple, then if it's an action started in the past and finished in the past, it's past simple. I worked for the company for 4 years. It means you no longer work there. Since, the same thing with since. If you started working at some company in 2008, so you have worked at this company since 2008. Now, if you started in 2008 and finished in 2010, in the context of this situation, you've got to say, I worked at that company since 2008. Okay? Now, difference number 5, last year and in the last year. That's a popular mistake. Now, with English learners, when they don't see the difference, last year and in the last year, these are two different things. Now, or last month and in the last month, last week and in the last week. Now, last year, in this case, if it's 2014, now last year it's 2013. Now, in the last year means over the last 365 days. All right? If we're talking about, let's say, if we're talking about the February of 2013, now, or February 2014, or in the last year, it's since February 2013 up to February 2014. That's in the last year. Now, last year, it's just a finished period of time, 2013. Okay? So, last week, in the last week. I've seen him a couple of times in the last week. I've seen him a couple of times in the last week, in the last month, but I saw him a couple of times last week. I saw him a couple of times last month. Past simple has got to be used in this case. Now, until and up to or so far. Basically, if you start thinking about, especially in Ukrainian language, the language that this video is made for, you guys advanced learners have got to realize that until now and so far, or up to now, in Ukrainian they sound the same, but in English they have two different meanings, alright? Now, if you trusted some person until now, it means you stop trusting this person and you're not going to trust him anymore. You trusted this person until now, and now is the last moment when you trusted him, okay? You no longer are going to trust him. Until is a finished action, alright? Finished action. Not in the process anymore. Until now. Now, present perfect is used with up to now, or so far. If you began trusting this person some time ago, and you still continue to trust him, it's going to be, I have trusted this person so far. See? And it's totally different. It's an indication of that you trust this person now, and you're going to trust him in the future. So, I have trusted this person up to now, or I have trusted this person so far, when you continue to trust this person. And when you finish trusting this person, it's, I trusted this person until now. Or another example could be, I was interested in politics until now, but I've been interested in politics so far. It means I am and I will be interested in politics. Alright? So these are just a bunch of differences between these two tenses, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and now you have I hope, at least a little bit clearer picture of the differences of these two tenses, their philosophies, their worldviews of things, as an action that took place in the past and left there. This action remained there, didn't reach. There's no result, no connection with the present. And present perfect, the action that took place or started taking place in the past and is relevant to the present moment. Thank you for watching this video. This has been English language for Ukrainians from Veep. Thank you.